Welcome to the Acquisition HQ podcast, where we interview seasoned operators of companies that are ranging anywhere between 2 to 50 million in EBITDA. We also help private equity investors as well as VC investors be able to connect with those seasoned operators, as well as the M&A service provider wanting to help us walk through the deals that we're looking at. Today, we're joined with a special guest and good friend, Andrew Heer. Andrew is an executive operator and deal maker with over 20 years of experience driving growth through disciplined execution, operational restructuring, and strategic capital deployment. He has led acquisitions, integrations, fundraising, and portfolio-level underwriting, helping founders and acquirers build desirable and scalable businesses. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. Stoked.
We're excited to get into your experience of both buying companies, selling, and then, the goods and the bads. I think there's all sorts of things that we can touch on today, but just share with me a little bit about the insight and how you got started on your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. So it was really not the typical or conventional way that I got into it. I didn't know what I wanted to do. When I left college, when I graduated, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't really have much direction. I'm very much a hand raiser and networker. And so that's how I got started, just meeting people, raising my hand. And I ended up working with a local family office and managing and running that family office. And about halfway through that tenure, I really wanted to expand my personal portfolio and get into the acquisition side. I also have a background with like blue collar and services-based businesses. And so with the silver tsunami, we'll call it, that's going on right now, I figured it was a great opportunity for me to get in, acquire those businesses, and the goal was to have them run independently with a general manager while I still maintained and focused my efforts within the private equity firm.
Yeah, I'd be curious on what are the responsibilities of one inside of the private equity firm, and how did you go about doing the due diligence of the various companies that you're looking at?
Yeah, so I kind of was a one-man band. It wasn't a huge firm, and so from all the fund administration, the accounting, the deal sourcing, capital calls, you name it, I spearheaded all those with the approval of the gentleman that I worked with. And so a couple of the things that we focused on within the family office was early stage tech, kind of that seed angel round. It's something that they were focused on. That was their niche with their other funds, but they were much larger check sizes. So those deals that kind of were too early or didn't fit their fund thesis fell down into the family office, and I was in charge of basically seeing if we wanted to take those deals within the family office. But we also did debt, real estate. It was kind of a sandbox, whatever was interesting, we looked at. And like a lot of the times, if it was a tech deal, one of the criteria was like, is this going to stick on the balance sheet it was primarily B2B SaaS that we were dealing with. Is this company going to stick on the balance sheet in a downturn? So we didn't like to play with like MarTech or some of the like HR based softwares. Like we wanted to really deliver a crucial value add to that company to where they can't live without it, even if there is a downturn. And
that's strategic. Well, it'd be interesting because you saw a lot of businesses, right? Which, in essence, it pushed you into doing your own due diligence and starting to move into a potential acquisition, which obviously we'll touch on today. And I'm excited to be able to uncover your first steps and looking at a business that you initially, you did your due diligence and then purchased it. So let's walk through that process of the acquisition. What are some of the do's and don'ts? But share with us a little bit more about that.
So my initial search started out by just perusing some of the online forums, KSL, Biz Buy Sell, And I really didn't know where to start looking beyond that. I knew people had posted their businesses. So the first business that I looked at was a mobile detail company. And started communicating with the owner of it. It was a very, very cheap deal. I think he was asking like $50K for it. And he didn't have any financials. Like he didn't have like a Stripe account or a Venmo account that I could look at. He was just like, I have this Facebook page. I'm really good at Facebook ads. And that's the real IP. And then there's some vans and equipment. And so I was interested because it was super cheap. And I had a friend in the industry, so I felt like I had some competitive advantage, maybe a potential like merger with my buddy. And he had 3 locations: Salt Lake, Phoenix, and Houston. I was like, those seem kind of random and very far away from each other, with it being such a small business. And he said that the bulk of the equipment was down in Phoenix, and flights are cheap from Salt Lake to Phoenix. So me and my wife hopped on a flight, popped down there. We go to pick up this van, and it's like the typical early 1990s like child abductor passenger van. And it like the play on the steering wheel just to go straight was like this, like no AC, it wasn't registered, wasn't insured, and just the back was just filled with crap. And we got in it, drove it for 5 minutes, and my wife and I looked at each other and we're like, nope. And we took it to the closest Walmart. I bought a hide key, put the key back in it, stuck it under the wheel well, called the owner and says, I'm out. It's your problem. He was pretty pissed. But I mean, it was a pretty like hard no. There was nothing enticing about the business after that. And so that was probably July 2021. And so I took some additional time meeting with a broker from a local business brokerage and started to tell him, like, this is my background, this is what I'm interested in. He tried to pitch me a pool business because that's what my former background was. My father owns a pool company. Fortunately for me, I knew who was selling that business. And again, I wouldn't touch that business with a 10-foot pole. And we came upon a commercial cleaning company that was based out of Park City. And I was like, hey, this seems like pretty simple. It's basic first time acquisition. Let's do this. So we started down the diligence.
Yeah. What was the initial due diligence process, and kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, it was not sophisticated because again, when you're investing versus buying an operational business, I feel like the diligence is, it's apples and oranges. Like when you're tech investing, you're investing in potential upside, you're believing in the entrepreneur, the TAM, all that kind of stuff. And whereas when you're looking to acquire or invest in an operational business, like you really need to make sure that the nuts and bolts of this thing are well-oiled, grease and everything. And I didn't understand that. I just saw, this is how much income is coming in. These are the clients. And I met with the owner of this business who was older. He was actually had a banking background, and it was kind of a hobby business for him that he used to teach his kids about business. And so again, it was run off the back of a napkin. And so he did have some like QuickBook financials, but there was no team in place. It was all 1099 contractors. There's no management. And so this was where kind of one of the first missteps I took was just my arrogance and thinking that I could take this on because of my background and what I was currently doing and my understanding of service businesses, and take this and turn it into a passive cash flow business for me and my wife. And this, the seller, we did a SBA 7A loan on this, and he got 100% of the funds up front. It was $350K that he got. And again, I probably should have put some like earn out on there to entice him to stick around. And because the other issue that I overlooked was customer concentration. It was a very large, publicly traded resort up in Park City that represented roughly 85 to 90% of revenue. And I was just like, oh, that's a good customer to have. And I just had my blinders on because I was just so like,
wow,
hell bent on, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it on my own. Just kind of like flash my badge and like, look what I accomplished. And yeah, that was, some of the missteps on that first deal for sure.
Yeah, due diligence process on something like that. What are some of the things, again, what exactly did you see that now looking back you should have addressed immediately?
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that you saw that you would have addressed them now, knowing what you know?
First off, zero systems and processes in place. Pricing hadn't changed in 5 years, and this was December 2021 when we made this acquisition. And so through the previous almost 2 years, like we had seen some insane price increases in the industry just due to COVID for supplies, labor, etc. And he hadn't adjusted his pricing. And then when I checked in to see like, well, what are you paying your employees? He was paying them roughly between $18 to $20 an hour, but he was only charging the resort $22 to $23 per hour. Okay. And so like, but I didn't learn this until after the deal had closed. And so I didn't have the opportunity to go, well, where's your margin coming from? Because you're saying that your like his seller's discretionary earnings were in the realm of like 170, 175 on a business doing roughly 430, 440K a year. So I'm just like, where's that margin coming from when you're making just a few dollars on the spread of your labor versus what you're paying your contractors? And of course, now that there's debt in play for me with the SBA loan, like I need to make sure that I can cover my debt service, cover all my other expenses, your tech stack, whatever it is. Plus, like we get in this to pay ourselves.
Yep.
And that wasn't there for me. And that was a crucial error on our part, that we did take some money out here and there, but like that consistent, like I'm able to pull $5,000 a month out of the business never happened for us. The employees, there was no way to track their time or hold them accountable. They would just text their hours to the seller, and then he would just write checks on a weekly basis, like handwritten checks. There was no payroll system, nothing. It was literally as if like a high school person had started this business and hadn't grown.
And did you learn that after the acquisition?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So, maybe after looking back, right, in retrospect, you do a little bit more due diligence on systems that have been created within the company.
Yeah.
If it had a system, as what are they, ERP, a system that's already installed, making sure that its margins are in alignment and make sense, that's interesting.
Everything was helter-skelter, Nate. Yeah. Like, the employees were never held accountable for like where they were supposed to be or when they were supposed to do things. And so I dealt with a lot of time theft for employees trying to double dip, where they were getting an hourly wage up at the resort, but then they had like piece rate jobs that they would leave in the middle of being clocked in to go do that piece rate work, instead of when they should have done it either before or after their shift.
Interesting.
And then this all just snowballs into like the quality of work being done is being impacted, right? Because you're overlapping work, and when they should be at one location making sure it's staying clean, they're actually over here. Yeah. And they're doing it very quickly because they need to get back to their other station. So
being an industry that is advancing forward and becoming quite popular, which would be the ETA industry, as you know, rightfully so, because there's opportunity to be had, but there's also a lot of learning that needs to take place before one makes a quick acquisition. What would you speak to the individual, and how would you speak to them? And what would you share with them as far as the one person that's looking to make that acquisition?
Yeah. If it's an industry that you haven't touched at all, I would try and get some sort of experience or bring in a strategic partner that's going to help you navigate those speed bumps and hurdles that are going to come up along the way. Because one of the issues that I came upon is just like the sales cycle of commercial cleaning. It's almost like a tech sale, it's 6 to 12 months that you're courting and gaining the trust of potential future clients. And we're talking large commercial spaces. It's a lot easier in like the residential space to pick up new clients, but we were focused primarily on commercial. And so I didn't take that into account because the guy had never grown his business. It was just, this is it, this is what it's always been. So I didn't have any type of measuring stick as to like, hey, this is what I can expect for new business coming in. And so had I had a partner in the industry that was like, hey, we got to plan for pretty drawn out sales cycles here, it's been great. And if you don't have any type of like upper management experience or general manager experience in running like the day-to-day of a business, again, like make sure you're just bringing in a mentor, kind of have like a board of trustees that you can say, hey, this is this business, and make sure that there are no bias in that group. So I would probably filter out close friends and family, and even pull people in who are a little bit pessimistic, because you always need that person in there that's going to take you to the worst case scenario if you buy this business. And make sure that you're just holding their hands throughout the entire deal process. Make sure that you have a trusted CPA that can do a quality of earnings check. Make sure you have an attorney that's going to be able to review the asset purchase agreement or just structure the deal so that you're mitigating your risk, but like also things are being fair to the seller as well. And those are things that I just didn't do because, again, I looked at legal docs. I had reviewed legal docs. I had done basic accounting, so I knew better, and I just didn't do those things.
Yeah, there's specialists that do what they do really, really well, and that's all they do. They're not necessarily the operator of a company or the entrepreneur.
And I would even say, like, because those things are a little pricey. They're not; those services don't come cheap, and it's for a reason that they don't come cheap. If you don't have the capital to put out, maybe 10 to 20K up front to have these service providers help you along the way, you're probably not in a position, it's not a wise decision to be buying a business.
Yep. Yeah, we see that. I mean, everyone just wants to get it on the cheap, or they want to, for sale by owner, basically. Let's negotiate a term sheet where we put zero money in and zero money down, and it's a fallacy.
Yeah. You get what you pay for, right?
I'm not gonna say it's not a complete fallacy, because of course there's ways that you can negotiate, and there's terms that you can create with a seller. But again, it's like it's few and far between that you're going to come across a nice deal like that.
Yep.
Walk me through where you're currently at, and then how the company, what was the maturation of the company? What did you initially do, and then also what are you doing now?
Yeah. So with that company, I immediately plugged in some systems, processes, technology that really helped streamline just the day-to-day management of the business, and how brought in some accountability to the employees, which they all hated.
Yep.
I mean, I think I turned 100% of the employees within 9 months.
Which is probably good anyway, because you needed to establish a new culture.
New culture for 100%. And, that's something that people don't talk about either. When you're going into this, there's a very real world where you're going to change culture. Like, I think the expression is like new wine breaks old leather bags.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you're bringing in this vigor, let's go, let's work hard, let's dig deep. And you're dealing with people who are comfortable in their job. They have a tenured relationship with the business owner, and they're like, I'm out. And so, but that's a good thing in my opinion. And so once I got those things plugged in, things started to hum a little bit better. And then we picked up some additional contracts just through pounding the pavement, knocking on doors. And then I was starting to get I get the itch to do another deal. And the intern in the office for the private equity firm was like, hey, there's this carpet cleaning business up in Park City that's for sale. And so I was like, oh, that's a, complementary business to commercial cleaning. I could be able to offer like this whole new suite of services to my current customers. Let's do this. And so I kind of just was a bull in a china shop again. And the business broker was being completely non-responsive, just didn't emails, texts, calls, nothing. And so I just did some Googling because I had some basic understandings of the description of the business. And so I just Googled carpet cleaners in Park City, and Clean Carpets of Park City was the first one that popped up. I called, a lady answered, and I was like, hey, are you selling your business? And she's like, yeah, I am actually. Why? And I was like, phew, that's the first time ever, the first call you land. And she said they were actually under contract. And I was like, oh, bummer. Okay, well, if things change, call me. She called me a week later. And it was a landscaper that was trying to buy it to establish work in the off season for his crew. And for whatever reason, it didn't work. So we came in. They were willing to do a seller's note 100%. I didn't really have cash to do this like super big down payment. So I said, let me pay you 10 grand a month for 3 months as a down payment. And then the note will kick in after that. And she agreed to it. And this was a 35-year-old business. It's like the quintessential dream of what searchers are looking for. Still small. They were doing almost 400K a year, very small. Two employees. One was a technician. The other handled more admin, accounting type stuff. It was a brother and sister that owned it. So I got into that, and again, just sped up the deal process too quickly. And as soon as I got in, and like maybe a couple days after, I really sensed this like weird vibe within the business. I was like, what's going on? And well, the brother and sister essentially had gone through a divorce, irreconcilable differences, and they had bought everything together. Neither of them were married. I thought they were a thing because they had the same last name and they talked the same. Yep. It wasn't the case. Brother and sister, and just immediately bad juju right off the get-go. The couple employees just were sour, really tainted. And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay. It's just a whole new level of complication. Again, plugged in a CRM, Gusto, like all the tech pieces to just like streamline everything. And actually, grew the business 100% within 3 months. Like we were cooking. The one good thing that they did was nail their SEO. So they were ranked 1 to 2 in all their service categories. Phone calls were just coming in. We didn't have to spend much on marketing. I was able to bring in additional help from the other staff to like double up the jobs that we were doing essentially. And things were cooking. I brought in a GM and I was like, I did it. Oh my gosh. Like I have someone managing the commercial cleaning business. I have a GM that's like overseeing both operations. I merged the two businesses so that it was one. And life hit me really fast. And it was still undercooked. The foundation and the base hadn't been established to truly have a business that was passive and that I could take my eye off of. And that's what happened. I took my eye off of it. And ultimately, we lost the large commercial cleaning account, which at that point represented probably 65% of our revenue. The one employee that was a service tech that came with the carpet cleaning company was pretty jaded. He was a very tenured employee, 18 years. He didn't like that I was a younger person coming in and running this business that he thought he probably should run, and was stealing equipment, moonlighting, and essentially just stabbing me in the back towards all of our customers. So we fired him, which led to him in turn taking all of our customers because he had the relationship with them, not me. And so we went from doing almost $250K a month to 10. And I had an SBA loan and a seller's note. I had amassed, other just various credit card debt from trying to grow and expand the business. And the GM that I had put in place, just through unforeseen circumstances, it didn't pan out, wasn't working, and he wasn't the right person for the job, and he didn't raise any red flags along the way. And so by the time I had gotten my hands on it, it was too late. And so we ultimately had to close everything down and file bankruptcy.
What did it make you feel when you had to file bankruptcy as an entrepreneur?
Leading up to that moment, immense stress and anxiety. That feeling in your gut that you're just sick all the time. You're going to bed with that feeling, so you're not really getting a lot of sleep. Your mental health is just non-existent. You're just questioning everything. But when we made the decision, and it was December, it was a couple weeks before Christmas, December 2024, my wife and I, it was a nightly discussion we were having, like, what the heck are we going to do? And we looked at each other and like, I think we got to file bankruptcy. And when we kind of like both gave each other like the look, okay. It was this weird cathartic, like, like relief off of our shoulders, which lasted very briefly. And then the wave of shame, embarrassment, like I'm an idiot, started to just take over our lives. And that was very difficult. It's something that we're still dealing with today. It's better, for sure, but it's not easy to navigate by yourself. It's just,
I'd be curious. I mean, share with me though, the process now. It's been a year. You're completely closed. You're, kind of on the other, not to say, well, you're on the other side. You've got more ahead of you than behind you. Let's just put it that way. But share with me what that process is like, even maybe from a legal standpoint to, whatever you'd like to share in regards to the bankruptcy and then working your way through that.
Sure. So it first started with just meeting with some attorneys, and I highly recommend meeting 3 to 4, and not just going with someone that someone recommended you to, or just finding one on Google and going with them. It's weird. It's like this. It's kind of like dating. Like you want to make sure that like the personalities jive, because like this person is holding your hand as you're declaring, I can't pay my debts, and you're naked in front of everybody. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable with this person. And so we met with about 3 attorneys. You pay them up front, obviously, because you're going through bankruptcy, and so they want to make sure that they get paid up front for their services, and that kind of just like gives you a bank of funds that they're just going to pull from as they're doing their filings and court hearings and motions, etc. And so due to the SBA requiring a personal guarantee and Utah not being a homestead law state, that was one of the things that we pledged and we lost in the bankruptcy. And so like our home, every asset that we had, all the equipment from the business, like they raid the kitchen cupboards basically. And so it forces you. It's this weird position because it's like you, as an entrepreneur, you want to like get out and rebound, but there's this timeline that you're also bound to where if you go out and start something or go get some, high paying job, the trustee's just going to turn around and take it. They're going to garnish your wages, or they're going to say, oh, you got some equity given to you. We're going to take whatever percent of that is. So like I was handcuffed essentially until this for the better part of a year. And so we became kind of like pseudo preppers. Like you're very limited on what you can buy. Like we did have some cash with remaining in the business, but, and the first thought is like, man, we need to go to Hawaii and just like, decompress, that's like our place. We love Hawaii. And our attorney's like, yeah, don't do that. Like you can buy food, you can pay your car payment, you can buy clothes for your kids as long as they're not, it's not Gucci or Louis Vuitton branded stuff. And we're blessed that my wife is a teacher. And so like she's the bedrock of our family's finances. She provides the insurance, the steady paycheck, but I mean, it's a teacher salary. So it's not that fantastic. And so just getting really creative on how you take care of your family. Like we're blessed that we have amazing family and friends in our life who really picked up the slack.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I would say too, just based on knowing you, and then also just seeing your ambitious attitude to also just continue to be a part, be helpful for those where they need it. I think that, through that process that could be a negative, right? As you're starting to navigate this, it's not necessarily your identity, right? What would you share to those out there that may have gone through that or going through that now? What's one thing that you would share about identity and some of the things that you've gone through?
Yeah. Your business, your financial state of being, the stuff that you have, your house, your cars, your watches, those are all things that could at any given time be taken away, which those things don't define you as a human being. What I've learned over this past year is how I am showing up as a husband, how I'm showing up as a father to 3 little boys, how I'm contributing to society, and the feeling that I'm leaving with people as we interact. That's what defines me. And so, do not allow these things to mire you in the mud and send you off on a course that can be very dark and destructive. There's always salvation, and finding those that have been through it. Most entrepreneurs have, or come very close to it.
Absolutely.
And some are open about it, and a lot of them are not. They're willing to talk in the right setting. So finding those individuals and saying like, this is what I'm going through, they will welcome you with open arms. And there's so many people that are just willing to help in any way, shape, or form.
So good, so powerful. I believe that there's more to life than just building more businesses, right? Making more money. It's about the impact. It's about who you become, who you're maturing through the entire process. And I've seen that from you. What's got you excited? What's your next season?
Yeah.
As we start to fold out, what does it look like for you?
Well, I have now been to hell, and I can't say back yet, but like, I went in the door and I exited the door, and I'm like, I'm headed in the right direction now. But what's got me excited is just that, like, I've gone through and experienced something that not a lot of people have. And I've been to that low of low now. And so like everything's up from here, man. Like I've met so many amazing people over this past year, and having like digging back into my entrepreneur roots and just like, hey, well, what's next? Let's start something. And you don't necessarily need to have, hundreds of thousands of dollars to start something, especially with where AI is today. And so working on a startup of mine, and then I've just felt really passionate and inspired to share my story about what I have experienced and helping other entrepreneurs or ETA entrepreneurs avoid a lot of the pitfalls and the mistakes that I made through sharing my experience. And I'm an open person, you know that. We've known each other for a couple of years now, and I don't hold anything back. Like, I'm willing to take people to those dark places so that they know that I understand where they're coming from, because you get a lot of lip service from people sometimes.
Absolutely.
And I want people to know that, like, I'm not just trying to make them feel better. Like, I know I'm going to put your arm around you and we're going to do this together.
Well, we're going to do this together, guys out there that are watching this podcast, just continuing to help provide, obviously education, tools, experiences, all the things. And, in the spirit of you wanting to help out, I know you've been really instrumental helping us out too with the acquisition headquarters, as well as being a founding member of the entire group. So for that, we honor you and thank you for that. But also just want to continue to support and wrap our arms around you as you continue to grow, and you have so much more life to be able to give, from an innovative standpoint. To the future is bright for you. That's just what I see. And the future is bright for us collectively. So share with us how we get a hold of you. How can our also community support you?
Yeah. So I'm pretty active on Twitter or X, LinkedIn, other great place to hit me up at. I actually have a lot of people reaching out to me because of the content that I have shared already. So please, if you're in the middle of your journey and you need some guidance, or you want to hear all the dumb stuff that I went through and did, then please don't hesitate. Reach out.
Awesome. Well, if you like today's episode for the AHQ podcast, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as make sure to comment below. We'd love to hear what you would like for us to talk about, as well as who we should have on to the next podcast. Also, we have some things that are coming up real soon. We've got our national conference, acquisition conference is coming up in March 2026, as well as our new council releases. The councils are going to be released in Salt Lake City, Austin, Texas, Nashville, as well as San Diego in 2026. We're excited to have you guys there. And if you want to be part of our private network as well, it's just acquisitionhq.co, and you can learn more at that website as well. So until next time, we cannot wait to shoot another podcast for you.